All right, before we get started today, we're excited to talk about our new sponsor on the show, Oboes. That's right, Oboes is sponsoring the Rock Fight. You know, many of you already know Oboes. Justin, I'm sure you know Oboes.
Do I know Oboes? They were my first outdoor shoe brand that I really cared about.
Well, there you go, because they stood up in 2007 in a crowded footwear space and said, there's room for me too, and I want to make shoes just for Justin Hausman. They were an upstart outlier with a weird name, a roomy toe box, and well-built offerings for committed hikers, a combination that has attracted a loyal following for going on 20 years. I'm happy to have Oboes join the Rock Fight. I'm sure you are as well, Justin. Come on.
Are you sure that Oboes is outdoor Bozeman?
That's what they told me.
Okay, Bozeman. I mean, Bose I always figured. I never really thought about what the O was for. Bose by itself would be pretty cool. Just Bose.
How many dogs out there do you think are named Bose?
Oh my God. Good question.
Like, if I put the over-under at like 45?
Probably so many. More than that. I would take the over.
Listen, Oboes is committed to shining a light on the core activity central to many of our outdoor pursuits, which is hiking. You know, the thing we all do but don't talk about. We are unified by hiking. Oboes loves hiking, and that's something that we can get down with here on the Rock Fight. Over the coming months, we'll be sharing news and products from our friends from Bozeman. So welcome to the Rock Fight, Oboes. Let's cue the intro.
Rock fight, rock fight, rock fight, rock fight, rock fight, rock fight. Here we go.
Welcome to the Rock Fight, where we speak our truth, slay sacred cows, and sometimes agree to disagree. This is an outdoor podcast that aims for the head. I'm Colin True, and joining me today, Nicolas Cage and the Surfer doesn't open up until May 2nd, but he's already in line outside of his local theater. It's Justin Hausman!
I think it's such a bummer that I have to wait that long. I feel like movies now, you don't really know when they come out or if they've already been out. You know what I mean? Because like stuff streams before it hits the theater. You're like, I don't know anymore, and which is good and bad. I guess I kind of miss the old days where you just knew when a movie was coming out and you kind of had to like sort of plan for it. But I think this movie looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, the trailer looks unbelievably cool. I've heard nothing but good things.
The intersection of like your action movies you love.
Yes.
Nicolas Cage you love.
Yes.
Surfing you love.
Yeah. I mean, it really doesn't get better.
It's literally like someone said, hey, let's make a movie for Justin
But
Hausman.
it also doesn't appear to matter at all. Like, it's not like it's not like about him being, I mean, it's about him being a surfer, but it's not like about surfing, if that makes sense.
Right.
So, like, it doesn't matter that he looks like a dipshit carrying a board. Like, it's not like they're going to, you know, like the surfing action doesn't matter. But, like, God, it looks good. You
got to be hoping for, like, just at least one shot of like, you know, a body double on a board and then, like, a close-up of him.
I don't even know if there's going to be.
Really
I don't even, I mean, they might do that. I have no, I mean, I could see that, actually. Like, him just, like, scowling, looking really angry is, like, you know, with, like, a wave in the background. That might happen. But it looks badass. I can't wait.
It looks pretty good. Yeah, actually, if you don't know what we're talking about, go check out the trailer for The Surfer, starring Nicolas Cage. The trailer came out like a week or two ago. It looks badass. It looks like a good flick.
I'm so glad it looks weird. I was afraid it was going to, because we've known about this movie for a long time, but I'm just so glad it's weird.
I thought when I saw sort of the poster or the thumbnail for the trailer, it was going to be like an existential like surfing movie with like Nicolas Cage, and then all of a sudden you realize like, oh no, they're going completely in some weird direction.
Yeah, this is going to be super fun.
Which is when Nicolas Cage is at his best.
Absolutely, so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, today on the podcast, Justin and I are going to be talking about some brand news to come out over the past week. We're going to get some answers to what we asked last week on Q&A Corner before putting out this week's question on Q&A Corner. And we'll, of course, wrap things up with the parting shot. Before we get to any of that, some housekeeping programming reminders for you. If you missed Monday's episode of the Rock Fight, you missed an all-timer, guys. Justin and I and the rest of the Rock Fight Avengers assembled to name the top 5 outdoor accessory brands in a completely pointless and subjective exercise, but it was really fun, and it's really fun to listen to. Encourage you to go check out that episode. And then come back this Friday. Rock Fight Consigliere Owen Comerford and I are going to talk about everything we learned that came out of last week's North Face Investors Day, and there was a lot. So we're going to break that down on Friday's episode of the Rock Fight. And we got some other things going on, though, over here in the Rock Fight universe. Justin, what's happening with the newsletter this week?
Folks, you're listening to this on Wednesday, which means the previous newsletter came out the day before.
It's true.
Which is Tuesday. So go ahead and navigate yourself over to our website, rockfight.co. It's going to give you a little option to join the mailing list, and I recommend that you do, because that weekly newsletter is going to give you some fresh content, some fresh popped content, some fresh squeezed content that you're not going to find anywhere else. Written by me, written by Colin, written by other folks. We're going to keep you in suspense there. But anyway, this is not just a simple aggregator of all the funny things we talked about in the week. This is a real deal breaking news and or thoughtful, poignant essay type newsletter. So you're not going to want to miss that anymore because you've already been missing it if you're not signed up for it. So go sign up for that. Also, please subscribe, join the Rock Fight by hitting the follow button on whatever podcast app you are listening to us on. And give us a coveted 5-star rating. We deserve it, and we know you want to give it.
All right, our top story today, of course, is presented by your hub for ultra-light gear, Garage Grown Gear. Head to garagegrowngear.com. Check them out. We'll talk a little bit more about them in a second. But just a few quick things to run through before we get to Q&A Corner, because spring has sprung. There's a bunch of brands that were in the news last week.
Is it technically spring yet? Let's look it up. First day of spring. I bet it's not. I'm just curious.
It's not. The meteorological start of spring, though, is March 1st.
Oh, is it now? Okay.
But the technical
vernal equinox, is that the one?
Yes, that is the end of
March 20th. So we're getting there.
10 days.
Yeah,
10
week
days
and a
away.
half. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
All the skiers are crying. It's
No.
fine. Yeah, it's sad out there.
I can't
Plus
spend
snow isn't
$1,000
good.
a day on skiing anymore. I'm so sad.
So a few brands in the news this week. Just want to hit them real quick. First, our friends at Mountain Hardwear. Mountain Hardwear highlighted the release of 2 collections for spring 25. The Broad Spectrum collection, which focuses on sun protection.
Aha, yeah. You
Good
get a
guess.
broad spectrum sunscreen.
And the Trail Performance Kit, which promises versatile products for long days on the trail. I mean, overall, pretty standard outdoor stuff, spring stuff when you look at it. But I did want to highlight the Core Air Shell Jacket.
Okay.
I don't know if you would check this out.
I'm looking at it.
Take a
I'm
look at this
currently
one.
I'm currently examining it.
I love this as a concept. I don't think this is something that this is a little different. It's a stretch woven shell, but
Yes.
it's really kind of built for a wide range of uses. I mean, it really could act as a sun hoodie. It could act as a lightweight shell if it's get a little drizzly out. It could be they kind of touted it as like if you're a little cool, it can help warm you up. But it's just taking a woven material, which has been traditionally more used in like outerwear, and kind of using it as a jack of all trades piece. I think it's kind of a cool idea.
So I either have this one or I have whatever they made before this one. And it's like, it's funny that you brought this up because I just pulled it out last night and I was like, yes, it's time to start wearing this bad boy. Because it's, again, I don't know if it's exactly the same one, but I think it is. It sure looks like it. It is just like the perfect spring jacket. Like it's just like a nice. You're like, okay, I don't need the thickness anymore. And I'd use it for all the things that you just mentioned. I ride a mountain bike in it. I use it for little hikes. Like you can stuff it into a pocket of your like shorts if you're wearing shorts with like decent sized pockets. Things badass, and signifies that we're hitting the good times, the spring good times.
I got the chat with the Mountain Hardware's PR team at the Outdoor Market Alliance, and they were talking about this, like even wearing it like next to skin, which you wouldn't again think about woven next to skin. Yeah, it just doesn't. You think like, oh, is it like a sun hoodie? He's like, yeah, actually, it was pretty. It's comfortable. It's not like going to be. I don't know. It's a lot of versatility there, so I think that's something to keep an eye on. I'd love to try that one out. Actually.
Now, is this just a windbreaker? Colin, remember windbreakers?
I do remember windbreakers.
I mean, is that basically this is like a 21st century windbreaker, right?
Yeah, a little better fit.
People don't say that though anymore.
It kind of pigeonholes it probably, right? It's a windbreaker. It kind of implies that's all it does.
What a great name, a windbreaker.
Is there like a band or a movie called Windbreaker?
There needs to be, right?
Yeah.
That's way cooler than Airbender. I'm a windbreaker. Well, that sounds like you're farting, I guess.
Yeah. Spinal Tap had an album called Break Like the Wind.
I just remembered that part. Okay, well, maybe that's...
they're making a sequel to Spinal Tap, right?
I do, and I'm not necessarily happy about it.
I think it's going to be like a Zoolander 2 thing where it could be absolutely terrible, or it could just...
I mean, it's all the same guys, and and they're all funny, so like...
I know.
I mean, hopefully it'll be fine. I just don't... You know what? They're smart enough to where it will like make sense. Like they'll be in a nursing home or something. It'll actually be really funny.
Oh, actually, that'd
be
a
good?
good premise.
Yeah,
that would be really good.
If you're listening to this, Spinal Tap producers, and it's not too late to change course.
Get on it, Rob Reiner.
That one's for free.
Next up, Tifosi. All right, so on Monday's episode when we ranked outdoor accessory brands, you shouted out Tifosi. I've had a bunch of Tifosis too. I like their products. This week they launched what they call their Shumo collection. And if you take a look at it again, and everybody listening, I'll link it in the show notes. If this is a trend, I'm going to be happy because they're basically, I would say, Wayfarer-esque in a way, kind of a little more classic sunglass silhouette.
Mm-hmm.
And this being like kind of their big push for spring, maybe it means the end of the big stupid goggle style sunglasses trend that I hate so much. So I'm kind of fingers crossed on this one. They look great.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to think. I love these. These look dope. I mean,
Yeah.
you can get away with. You can run in anything. I know runners love to run in. I guess if you're running faster than me, maybe it's different. Like runners love to run in like the wraparounds, and I get that. I do think that, and the reason that Colin presumably is excited about these is because they're sunglasses that you can just wear normally and also wear them while you're doing something athletic, right? That's the idea.
Yeah, they just look like regular cool sunglasses,
They do.
but you know.
They do.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing that is rad about Tifosi is that they're just inexpensive, you know, and it's like, for some reason, I don't really care about, I guess to me, durability in sunglasses is pointless because I'm not like a neat freak and my glasses are going to get scratched and screwed up no matter what. I don't care how well protected, I don't care what you give me in the box. I'm going to lose all of that in the next 5 minutes. And then my sunglasses are going to be like somehow in the sand. I won't even have been at the beach and my sunglasses are not coated in sand. So like, honestly, the least expensive, the better. And for all my like aversion to plastic waste and stuff like that, like sunglasses, I just don't, whatever. I'll take pretty much whatever.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see something like this, and less so what I presume will be happening soon, which is the rediscovery of the bug glasses from the 90s, because the 90s are so big right now.
That's true.
That like everyone's gonna be rolling around in those like sort of Matrix style, but like garish colored like bright glasses that look like you're like in a pop sort of ska band from like 1997, and nobody looks good that way. So I'll take these all day long.
All right, well, Shumo, we'll check it out, everybody. That seems like, again, I hope
$40.
that trend was not bad, and you don't look like a dumbass.
And if
like
you lose them, you're not
going
to like have to like drive. Like if you lose these, you're not going to be like, shit, I have to drive 2 hours to go pick up my $400 sunglasses that I left at the trailhead. Hopefully they're still there.
And you don't look like a dumbass. It's a win-win.
Do you think purpose-built pickleball sunglasses exist?
If they don't exist already, I'd be surprised.
Should we make them?
Sure.
Should we stop doing
If they don't exist, then we should stop what
doing
we're
this
doing
right now and invent pickleball sunglasses?
If that has not become a thing yet, yes, because it's going to be in about 10 seconds, I'm sure. Like, I mean, like that just absolutely, there's a pickleball thing for everything.
I have the name already.
Okay.
Pickles.
Like that's just the name of the sunglasses brand?
That's
Pickles?
the brand, Pickles.
I could actually see that.
Yeah, dude, it's a really good name.
Yeah, it's a good name. Because then also, it's pickleball, but you can make other stuff.
Yeah.
You get your pickles?
Yeah.
Are you rocking the pickles today on your bike?
Yeah, you got those
I like
pickles?
the
Those are sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm into it.
ChatGPT develop marketing plan.
Lastly, outdoor gear maker NEMO has updated their Dagger Osmo tent to be Blue Sign certified. Blue Sign is the independent organization that works with manufacturers, brands, and chemical companies to set the standard for best practices when it comes to producing textiles. Tents are a tough category to achieve Blue Sign standards, but according to NEMO's press release, the Dagger Osmo was made with, quote, solution-dyed, 100% recycled, PFAS-free fabrics. This is what I'm harping on a lot about when it comes to innovation in the outdoors is this kind of stuff, like not just iterative, like, oh, look, we have this new kind of fit thing on a material that we've already had, but leaps forward in how we make things. I understand the tent is probably a pretty small tent compared to, like apparel is a smaller category, but this is an important leap forward that this has not existed before, and now it does. The press release, a press release about a new piece of apparel that is PFAS-free and recycled is not new. For tents, this is. And another example, too, of course, NEMO leading in this category.
Do you think people care if something is Blue Sign approved?
No, not at all. I can tell you they don't.
Do you think that if two tents are exact, each $299.99, and one of them is Blue Sign certified and the other one is not, that people will purchase the Blue Sign one?
Nope, I don't think that at all.
I don't think so either.
I think it's to say this is an industry problem where it needs to be like a kind of coalescing around what needs to get better just because it's the right thing to do, and not just be reliant on does the consumer demanding it or not, because the consumer doesn't know what they want. They want to walk in and feel good about what they're buying. That's been proven over and over again when it comes to outdoor stuff.
Do you feel like you understand what Blue Sign certified means?
No, and I worked for a freaking textile manufacturer. And it was never. I was always wondering, like, why do we care? Because the consumer doesn't care. But I mean, it's the standard that everybody wants to adhere to.
What about like 1% for the planet?
What about them?
Like, would that influence your purchasing?
There's a time it probably would. I mean, I remember feeling like
it's a little different.
Yeah, I remember when brands were starting to glom onto that, and I felt like, okay, that's really cool. Especially if you were a small brand, like who was committing to that was a big deal. But again, I think we're too educated for that. We know about this stuff.
Well, I think 1% for the planet's great. I'm just wondering if people actually,
if it matters. Yeah. I don't think it matters. It won't matter. Shein and Temu are doing fine, right? I mean, it's like this stuff doesn't matter. You have to. It either needs to just like be wholesale changed, or it's not, we're just going to keep on doing what we're doing. And that's why I just think that the fact that NEMO doesn't have to do this, but they're doing it.
Right.
That's because they're saying, no, we are going to do it because it's the right thing to do.
That's
and hopefully
interesting.
other brands follow suit.
I mean, in theory, it's, like I would, at this point, I mean, because we're, we know NEMO, we like NEMO a lot, are aware of the things they're doing, that they're recyclable packs and stuff like that. I know that they were big in the anti-flame retardant thing a few years ago when it first started becoming an issue with tents.
Yeah.
I guess at this point now, I sort of assume that NEMO is doing the best they can, and it's like the fact that they have so many different initiatives going on out there. When I think NEMO now, I think, oh, here's a brand who's like doing it the right way, and in some ways, that's more important than than the individual product being Blue Sign certified or not. Because again, I couldn't tell you exactly what that means or why it matters. Other than it's a vague idea that that means it's, I guess, better for the environment. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the idea, right? But I do think it's worth, in the same way that you think of Patagonia, right? You're just aware that they're generally trying to push the envelope. So you could put NEMO in that same camp.
Yeah, I mean, and that's also what the big brands tend to suck up a lot of oxygen in a lot of the conversations we have because they drive the industry and they're always topical. But this is what the smaller brands need. Love as well, and they're the ones who are most likely to do it. I mean, to move things along in a new direction. Blue Sign, there's value there, and things to adhere to, and at least if nothing else, they set a standard about what is better.
Yeah.
But it's always up to the brands if they're going to adhere to it or not. Blue Sign would want you to think that the Blue Sign hang tag they put on a pair of pants or a tent is going to matter. It's not. It's just not. But for those of us in the know, a brand that does it does matter because they are making a choice to spend the money to become Blue Sign certified. So,
and I guess I also assume it's going to be a well-made item. I don't see a lot of cheap brands doing Blue Sign stuff.
Exactly.
So if I hadn't heard of the brand and I see it's Blue Sign, I'm like, oh, okay, well they're obviously have a high opinion of themselves and their quality.
Right. And anyway, that's just kind of what I think the conversation needs to shift to as well. It's and when we talk about innovation, it's not just about a new fabric or a new technical. That stuff's pretty much set at this point. It's about how did we evolve the entire category. What's the evolution of the outdoor category? Anyway, but yeah, so good on you, NEMO. All right, well, that segment brought to you by our friends at Garage Grown Gear. Not only does Garage Grown Gear carry 200 plus small, ultralight backpacking gear brands. That's a lot.
There that many?
Yeah, 200
Good
plus.
God.
They have hundreds of wildly funky gear items, too. Want to check out some of the most innovative and fresh gear in the outdoor industry? GGG's got you and your gear nerd self covered. Click the link in the show notes to shop some of the coolest and most interesting gear on the market from brands you may have never even heard of.
I cannot see GGG without thinking of...
G.G. Allen?
No, and I don't know if he was Russian, Ukrainian, or from one of the stands, but Gennady Golovkin. Does that name ring a bell?
No, not at all.
Pound for pound best boxer in the world 10, 15 years ago. GGG, Triple G.
GGG.
I went through a big boxing phase where I'd just stay up super late and watch whatever HBO boxing I could watch. And I got super into the kind of the lighter weight guys. But GGG is a legend.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How'd you get past the lack of being spoiled by Rocky movies? And just that's not what boxing looks like.
I know, honestly. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. It's a good question because boxing can be super boring.
All right, folks, let's talk about a game changer. Literally. If you're a brand or a retailer in the outdoor industry, think of Endeavor like the ultimate power-up for your sales game. This platform is designed to level up retail associates, giving them the XP they need to master your gear, sell more, and rack up rewards along the way. It's like a cheat code for better sales, making sure your products don't just sit on the shelves but actually move. Why is this valuable? Well, trained and motivated staff sell way more gear. Brands using Endeavor, like K2 Sports and Smith Optics, have seen better sell-through, stronger brand engagement, and real data insights on what works. And here's where Endeavor gets really interesting. It's gamified. That means learning about products and earning incentives feels fun and not like homework. But there's also a couple of other power-ups you'll want to consider. First is their partnership with Locally, so online shoppers can instantly find a knowledgeable staffer in a nearby store ready to seal the deal. Second is an option known as freemium. where you can launch brand assets, push newsfeed posts, and coordinate rep clinics. And with Endeavor's pay-as-you-go plans, you can take sales contests, education campaigns, or collect staff insights collection programs all out for a test drive. The bottom line, if your retail game is feeling like it's stuck in easy mode, Endeavor is the upgrade you need to unlock next-level sales, max out your team's knowledge, and beat the boss when it comes to customer experience. Head to Endeavor, that's endvr.io, to learn more today. All right, it's time for Q&A Corner, presented by Oboz. Our friends at Oboz, who are the Cupid of the outdoors, want to ask the question, how do you love hiking? And we're going to count the ways we love hiking in a minute, but we have another question for our listeners to ask shortly. But first, let's check in on the responses to last week's Q&A Corner. Last week, we asked our listeners about the state of brand-sponsored athletes. Are they important to you? Do they influence what you buy? Do they even matter anymore? We got a ton of great responses.
I want to jump in here and ask a question that is only tangentially related, but
okay.
My brain's not going to let me stop. Speaking of Cupid, Valentine's Day was just a couple weeks ago. I don't feel like you see Cupids anymore. Are we stopped doing this?
Yeah, we used to get kind of like the cardboard cutout things you'd like hang up in your house and stuff like that.
Like half of my Valentine's Day cards would be like a Cupid, like little cherub shooting you with an arrow. And now they're all like robots or whatever the hell. Like
have we canceled Cupid?
I think maybe we've canceled Cupid, and I don't know why. It's like a pagan thing. Like it's not like schools should be fine with that, right?
Did Cupid get Me Too'd?
I don't know what happened. Is it uncool to have kids in diapers? Because they're like little babies, right?
Well, that's true. Maybe it's sort of like maybe somebody with half a brain looked at it and was like, "Yeah, that's weird. We
might be liable for this." I don't know. It's anyway. I hadn't thought about it.
Was the tradition? You go back to the origin of the Cupid. Is that what they looked like? A little fat baby in a diaper
Weren't they like
flying
little
around?
cherubs?
That can't
like
be.
Little,
it can't be.
Yeah, like little angels, little cherubs, little baby angels.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Well, they're not like necessarily children, but they're are they?
Are we hurting our friends and sponsor Oboz by comparing them to Cupid?
I just don't know what happened. I just feel like Cupid was a thing for
I remember like
really
Bugs Bunny
time.
cartoons and stuff, and then like Pepe Le Pew, which was also problematic, but like he'd be like shooting arrows at the.
But
whatever,
I guarantee right now, if I asked my 5-year-old, like, did she get any cool Cupid stuff for Valentine's Day, she wouldn't have any idea what I was talking about.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's dig into it. There's Q&A Corner. What's up with Cupid?
What's up with Cupids? Cupid Day. Is that plural?
All right, here are the responses we got from last week. First up, we had Jeff from Rumpel. Jeff says, I had to chime in here because I had this realization with my 20 and 22-year-old sons. They are both avid snowboarders and work on the retail side of snow. Mm-hmm. They both have made several comments on how Rockstar Energy, Salomon, Beyond Metals, and Battle on Snowboards all have killer teams right now. Shockingly, or maybe not so, they are currently riding Battle on and Salomon and wearing Beyond Metals gear.
Yes.
I asked them what they mean by killer teams, and it comes down to what they love individually, backgrounds, attitudes, riding style, and personalities of the athletes.
Yeah.
And it's our human nature to thrive off other people's stories and our primal instinct to look to heroes as we find our tribe and try to be our best selves. Mm-hmm. I can recall those same feelings when I was in my teens and 20s. I had fully drunk the Kool-Aid that the brands that were the best riders were for the North Star brands that I should look to purchase my gear from. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of what you were alluding to last week.
Yeah, skiing. I think when it comes to like snowboarding and skiing, like yes, like for sure that like it matters because there's like riding styles and stuff to take into account. But I think what we're mostly saying though is that like unless it's something like that, I don't think people generally care.
Well, that's a good segue into our next response was from Tyler, who wrote, "What do outdoor brands get from sponsoring athletes? Content and social media reach. When I sit through brand marketing meetings, that's how they make the decision. How many followers does each athlete have? What communities do they speak to that we might reach by partnering with them? What content do they create that we might be able to share on our socials? Do they reach the podium in their sport if they compete? Sure, some brands like Patagonia and the North Face have big checkbooks and can pay huge teams and biggest names, and that probably moves the needles. But if you aren't one of those top 2 to 4 brands in your category, it's all about maximizing your influencer spend."
You know what that makes me think of? How much cooler we used to be as people, just because. And there's lots of reasons, and one is because I'm not the target like demographic anymore, and damn it, I was cooler when I was. But I feel like, and this is going back again. Keep in mind my sort of surf roots, but I think there's like a connection somehow between like being a dirtbag and being a surfer. Like it's the same idea, right? Anyway. It was cooler if you like didn't try or didn't care. Like that was cooler. Like the brands that we cared about and the athletes that we cared about, had they like known how many people followed them or had any kind of like influence, they literally would have like slit their wrists. Like they're like, this is the last thing on earth I want. And like, to me, it's so much cooler if you are chasing down the people that don't try. Like, so I don't know how you quantify that anymore because everything's on social media. So like, I can see how a brand would, but maybe they don't even have their own fucking accounts, right? Like they just show up on other people's accounts. Like that's who I'm targeting. Like some kid who is like the best climber in the world and doesn't have his own social media, but like he shows up constantly on like, I don't know, whoever is cool's. Like I am climbing with like this person and like everyone's like, oh my God, that mysterious like weirdo. That's who you want to sponsor. Not like Johnny Orange County dipshit who has a million followers on his Instagram because he's got like a 6-pack or whatever. I don't even who knows,
Well, it's funny because that's what Tyler kind of goes on to say. He says, I think the discussion I heard on the pod is rooted in an old view of the athlete sponsorships when there were fewer sponsorships available, only the top performers, because social media wasn't a thing. Outdoor media coverage was focused more through magazines, so we knew most of the folks who were doing the big new thing. We don't live in that age anymore. Every small measurement of human performance is measured, and we've subcategorized activities and end users into very precise, targeted algorithms. And like that's kind of like I just like using athletes for their algorithm. I mean, the other thing too is I wonder how much this is. I mean, I almost feel like the brands now are supporting these. It's almost like these folks are all cultivating their own audience anyway, and they're kind of bringing the brands along for the ride, right? It's like that before it was the other way around,
right?
But I think to your point, it's like that's exactly what it was. Where like it was the, back in the day, it was just a completely different world. I'm not sure.
I don't know why
I'd
you'd
love to know if
chase
brands can point to if it's working like the way they think it is.
Well, that's like I don't know what. I mean, I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm not a marketer.
Same.
But like I don't know why you would chase that. It seems like chasing like we're not really doing that with Rockfight. I mean, like chasing the algorithm. You're doing the same thing everybody else is doing, unless you have some sort of revolutionary approach. But you're trying to sign the same people to do the same thing because of the same reasons as the next brand. So
right.
I would be much more inclined to try and do something that's completely different. That would be me.
Well, that kind of leads to the last one, which I thought was one of the more interesting ones. This is from Kara. And she said, for me, what matters most is when it comes to sponsored athletes and brands is that they signal what the brand stands for. For example, any brand who sponsors Myrna Valerio is suggesting that they support and recognize athletes adventurous in larger bodies like me. It makes the brand more relatable. I prioritize and celebrate the brands who celebrate my heroes. Plus, many of these athletes are content creator extraordinaires, so these relationships create connection with their fans, and they also solve a problem for the brands by creating social media content. Although not in the outdoors, another athlete making waves in body inclusivity is rugby standout Alona Mar from the U.S. rugby team.
Yeah.
And brands have flocked to support her. I'll support any brand who does so because of what she stands for. And I think this makes the most sense to me in terms of return on investment because folks like Myrna Valerio or even like a Patagonia, they can help really drive the identity of what you want for a brand. I mean, even the North Face. Well, a lot of people accuse him of not being core. I mean, he's kind of at the point Jimmy Chin's still there. Emily Harrington's still there. So I think that on the surface makes the most sense versus kind of getting in the weeds of like the algorithm stuff like that Tyler was talking about. I guess, and even then maybe the first thing too of like it's the youth play as well. So
yeah, I
don't know.
I agree with that. I mean, I think that's also going back to I guess, being authentic, not signing someone just because they have a giant following, but because they represent, you're comfortable with them representing you as a brand. I mean, to me, that should be the foundation of any athlete role, that should be first and foremost. I guess you're not going to pay them money if they don't have a big following, but I mean, like, does this person, are you comfortable with them carrying the flag for your brand? And if you are, perfect. Then you roll with what's their follower count look like? What's their whatever? And the other thing, like does anybody really enjoy living in this world where we're like even knowing what the word influencer means? I mean, I can't imagine.
I think it is evolving though, right? I mean, because like even some of the ones that that Kara was mentioning are broader or more broadly known, but like. You mentioned like what we're doing in the Rockfight. Like we're finding it. We're creating a kind of like a bottom line is we're creating an audience, right? That is like, it's a little more niche, but it's like we're finding people who are really interested in this stuff. That's what a lot of podcasts do.
Yeah.
And I think on the, look at something like a TrailCon, which is actually this trail running sort of, it's not a trade show. It's more like it's a thing that happens in Tahoe every year where it's like, it's truly it's all about trail running.
Yeah.
And so like maybe some of these trail running athletes that you and I have never heard of are probably like put up on a pedestal there because like this is the trail running at the epicenter of the universe right now. And I wonder if that's ultimately where the value really comes from. And probably the folks that Jeff's kids are talking about too, versus we had big, broader sort of like, oh my God, these aspirational people who are climbing Everest and they're climbing in Yosemite and they're surfing and all this stuff that everyone knew who they were. Now it's like, listen, I'm into this thing. This is my niche and these are my heroes. Maybe that's ultimately where this is all kind of going to. And I think I wonder if, because I think Tyler's right about how brands engage with this stuff. I just don't know if that's working. I would be curious for a brand if that sort of algorithm approach to having athletes or a team actually results in anything for the brand.
I guess I feel like if, I'm on Instagram and virtually every ad I get is for something that I'm interested in, at this point, because the algorithm is pretty good. And It's like, to me, it's like, if you can do that, why do you need an athlete sponsorship anymore, unless they're like Patagonia or somebody who you're like,
right.
This is more about them presenting like values that we also share, or that we at least want to be associated with.
Right.
And so to me, it seems like, I just get ads for stuff. I don't care who's using it. Oh, that looks cool. Seems great. Or like I get an ad for trail shoes or something and be like, I wouldn't know a good runner or hiker anyway. Like it'd have to, like it wouldn't, I don't know who these people are. So like it would have to say, it wouldn't even matter. 10-time Ironman winner, so-and-so, endorses Norda. I'm like, I don't fucking give a shit.
That was kind of the premise, my original premise is like, what is this? What do we even get anymore? I think we got some good answers. I mean, it sounds like it's a little more varied than maybe I thought. All right. So this week's question for Q&A Corner, does blue sign matter? Is that the question?
No, that's well-trod ground.
I wanted to build off of what we talked about on Monday's episode about socks, because you had a kind of a take on socks that like the brands don't really matter.
Yeah, and I mean that. I do. At least to me. I mean, and I'll tell you why. They all get holes in them. My Smart Wools get holes. My Ibex get holes. My Fits get holes. My Darn Toughs get holes. They all get holes. I can't tell you.
You tried trimming your toenails?
I can't tell. Never in the toes. Never in the toes. Everywhere else. And I can't tell you. I don't have any. And I am awash in like wool, athletic-y, hikey socks. Right. Like I just get them constantly. And like, I don't think there's ever been a brand where I've been like, wow, these don't have holes for a really long time. And like, therefore I have a more positive opinion. They all seem to do the same thing, which is they're awesome for a little bit.
What's
and
a
they get
sock
holes.
problem more than an outdoor sock problem?
Sure.
Right? I mean,
So therefore I don't like it. I cannot even fathom like forming some sort of like brand loyalty to a sock company because they all seem the same. I think I was struggling to remember them, but like the only ones I care about are Wigwam socks because they make really good liners, and I mostly just wear sock liners. I don't live in a place where it snows, so I don't ever really need super insulated socks. And so, I've tried sock liners from lots of different brands, and they all stretch out and get weird and get lame. I've got Wigwam sock liners that are like 10 years old, and they're still perfect. So like that, there's a brand I know about and care about because their sock liners still have not failed me.
Well, that means you do have an answer to the question, though. So
yeah, but true. I guess that's true. I guess everybody but Wigwam socks is maybe the answer. I don't know. Like at least in my experience. I mean, if there's a sock brand out there that's making wool socks that last longer than a year, epic, send them my way. But I mean, I just they all seem to do the same thing.
I genuinely want to hear a listener response to this. This is not like a covert like research project for Fitz, who sponsors the podcast. Like, what are your favorite outdoor sock brands and why? I mean, because we talked about it, like there is brand loyalty with Smartwool. They have a dominant market share compared to other outdoor categories.
Yeah.
Why is that for you? Like, I want to know. Like, are you just conditioned at this point? Tell us about your favorite outdoor socks.
Do you like having right and left foot socks, which
no
to
one
me is
likes
an abomination?
That. Is that right sock with a W? Like you have right and left? Like, are people still making right and left socks?
Dude, are you kidding me? I feel like half the damn socks I open, there's a right. I see an R and an L. I bet you, if you don't even realize it, you look at your socks, there's an R and an L on them. Like, I didn't even realize he's had that. And like, I don't need that. I don't need extra performance in my goddamn socks.
Yeah. It also, like, what do you lose more of anything you like in your regular kit is your socks.
Yeah.
Like,
and now I'm thinking about it. Like all day long, I'm like, I think I have the right foot on the left sock or whatever.
But but back to like Shantae's point on Monday, like are they the
Sure.
Inginges? Like what?
Yeah.
We want to hear about it. myrockfight@gmail.com. Send us your feedback for we can read it next week on the episode on the podcast. And if you have, send us your address and we read your letter, your email. We'll send you a sticker. We didn't get any addresses for these people who wrote in. So if we read your email this week, send us your address so we can send you some stickers.
Yeah.
All right, Q&A Corner on the Rock Fights presented by Oboes, who's helping us ask the question, how do I love hiking? Let's count the ways today. All right, number 1, the sweet, sweet victory of removing hiking boots.
That's nice.
Is it instant euphoria for you?
God, that's nice. They're wow. Because you're usually sitting down at the same time. And like, I don't know that there's anything better. Like you've just put in like a 15-mile day.
And you just had that last mile where you're like, we're almost there.
Yeah.
We're almost
and
there.
You're sitting down, you're taking your boots off, and like, oh God, that's a good day. That's a good feeling.
It feels good.
Yeah.
Number 2, simplicity at its finest. All you need, water, snacks, a map, and hopefully some sense of direction.
And I gotta be honest with you, 99% of my hikes don't have any one of those 3 things, and I'm still perfectly happy. You know.
Number 3, getting lost, but in a fun way. The scenic route is just a fancy way of saying, I have no idea where I am.
That's a risky one, but you know, if you live in a place where getting lost doesn't matter, hell yeah. If you live in a place where getting lost means like eventually continuing to wander until you're in like Uzbekistan, maybe not the best thing, but
maybe there's some mushrooms involved. You know,
yeah, probably
like,
are.
Right? Just a little vision quest.
I still
while wearing your
I've
Oboes.
still never been truly lost. Like truly and totally and completely lost. I mean, I've been like, I don't know where I am, but I also know that if I walk west, I will hit the ocean in 2 miles.
Yes,
kind of a thing.
Right,
but I've never.
Same,
but like I've never, and therefore I can generally figure out where to go. But I've never been like in a straight up wilderness area and been like, I don't know where I am.
Which is probably why we cover any story where somebody gets lost for like 3 weeks in the woods. Because we're like, how does this happen?
I mean, like my entire goal is to not have that happen, right? Like that's kind of thing one as I'm planning.
Number
it's like,
1.
okay, don't get lost. Yeah.
Stay on the trail.
Yeah.
Number 4, hiking means finding your soulmates. In this case, we keep telling you about them. Roads, rivers, and trails in Milford, Ohio. If you find yourself in the greater Milford, Ohio area, pop in, say hi to the folks at Roads, Rivers, and Trails. Maybe pick up a pair of Oboes. And the pair to pick up if you're in, I assume they're carrying this. Maybe they don't carry this. But if they do, pick up something from the Oboes Catabatic collection, which has added the all-new Catabatic LT, which takes the whole collection to a new level with a lighter package, improved performance, and additional environmentally friendly materials. You got fast packing, you want to go day hiking, whatever your fancy, the Catabatic LT is your hiking shoe of choice. And this hiking appreciation moment is brought to you by Oboes of Bozeman, Montana, certified B Corps, 6 million tree planter, and proud inhabitant of the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. Oboes is the maker of premium quality footwear for the trail. And the Cupid, not canceled, just the Cupid to the outdoor world.
Yeah.
Oboes love hiking. All right, you ready for the parting shot?
I am ready for the parting shot.
It's time for a party shot.
I think you went first last time.
I did.
Okay. So for my parting shot, there was an article in the Inertia last week that the FBI announced that a guy named Ryan Wedding has been added to its famous 10 most wanted list for murder and running a cocaine trafficking ring between Mexico and his native Canada. And the reason this was on the Inertia is because Wedding is a former Canadian Olympian who competed as a snowboarder in the 2002 Winter Games. And the article is completely bonkers. I will link it in the show notes, and you can read it if you've not checked it out. But it got me thinking, and I don't want to make light of a pretty serious situation, but can we get more, it's kind of like The Surfer, can we get more like heist and action movies featuring outdoor sports? Like in the 90s and early 2000s, we got Point Break, we got Cliffhanger, Triple X was sort of an action sports movie that was like an action movie as well, Blue Crush. But since then, it's been pretty dry on the front of forcing action and outdoor sports into mainstream culture. And actually, before anybody out there says anything, the 2015 remake of Point Break never actually happened. It was just a shared bad dream. Don't bring that up to me. But I think an exaggerated version of this recent story, you know, an ex-Olympian who goes rogue and is trafficking cocaine into his native Canada, but the only way to get the drugs into the far northern towns in winter is via his snowboard or something. Like, there's a million scenarios to clumsily work outdoor sports into our movies and TV. So my parting shot is for Hollywood. Let's get this going. Let's bring action sports back to Hollywood action movies.
Does that mean that action sports aren't cool right now?
Maybe they feel like they played it all out.
This is not something I would have thought of, but it's a really good point. They don't seem
if you and I sat here for an hour, how many pitches could we come up with? Like 20?
Oh, easy. I mean, I just had a few kind of start to germinate in my head as you were talking. I mean, the closest thing I could think of to anything like this would be like maybe Fast and Furious. And I realize that's not obviously an outdoor
That's
sport.
street racing,
but like,
right?
That's
Yeah.
the closest thing I can think of to something along these lines. But yeah, you're totally right.
I mean, back to the 80s, I was on Instagram Reels today, like a clip from, like, was it Thrashing with, like, Josh Brolin as a skateboarder, like,
Whoa.
popped up. Like, I mean.
They're making a documentary of Rad, that BMX movie. Or the documentary's out. It's like touring. People are buying tickets.
Okay. I just think like the fiction, but we're like, again, Stallone and Cliffhanger, right? Here's Sylvester Stallone's a rock climber and he's got to save the day and defeat the bad guys. Like, yeah. All right.
I mean, like whitewater kayaking is a natural because you can like traverse big areas in like South America and stuff like that. So like that's a natural.
We've had like
fit.
the River Wild. Like what else have we had?
A bike packing one would work. You know, you have to like obviously, you know, probably a lot of people don't know what bike packing is out there in Middle America or whatever, but like that would be an interesting one, right?
A bike packing, like someone's bike packing and surfing through a dangerous section of a country, and they've got to like and they've got to escape, and all they have is their acumen on the bike. I don't know.
I think that's very. But I guess that's not sexy like jumping out of airplanes is and surfing big waves and.
We can include some of that. I think that's why Point Break worked.
Yeah. I'd like to bring up a parting shot that is by no means original. It's by no means enjoyable. Nobody wants to hear this. It's an old man pot. Actually, you know what? No, it's not, because this shit bothered me when I was 20 years old too. But as a person whose entire like town is taken over every weekend by people who don't come here often and go to the one coffee shop we have. Which has an unfortunately large menu because they also make smoothies for some stupid reason. So there's a lot to like digest. Anyway, okay, fine. I'm rambling. Just know what you want before it's your turn at the front.
No, I'm with
I mean, like I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if there's anything you can do in this world. I'd like turn signals. Yeah, please. You know, like please use those. You know, just like general awareness about most things. I just feel like there's not anything necessarily more egregious that's also totally harmless, other than just walking up to the thing and looking up and going, when you've been in line for 10 minutes. I think it's loosely the equivalent to driving with 37 cars behind you as you're going 15 miles an hour under the speed limit and just passing turnouts left and right, just constantly passing them. I just especially when you're by yourself. It's one thing, it's annoying enough if you're like talking to two other people and like you're inching forward and like I'm behind you and all I want is my small coffee. They're making it already.
Yeah, right.
They know
right.
me.
You're just getting drip coffee.
I'm just getting drip coffee and like they know exactly what I want. They're waiting for me to be they may have already poured it, but now I got to pay for it. And I'm just standing and I can tell you're not looking at the menu and then look at it. Oh, do you guys have lattes? Just like
Well, the best thing about that too is it's like even if you get up there and you really can't decide, then let the person behind you just go ahead. Like,
you know
go
what?
ahead. I'm not quite there yet.
I would say that's 20% of the time that happens, and that's great.
That's too low though. That should be like 80% of the time.
I just or like it's not like you're gonna walk in there and they're gonna have like spiced ham coffee or something that you've never considered.
Well, that's a good point. Is there food or is this a coffee?
It doesn't even matter.
Place?
They have food too, but it's the same fucking shit. You never get in any other coffee place. Like walking in, okay, probably a bagel, maybe some kind of egg sandwich,
cookie, bagel,
lattes,
a brownie,
generally speaking, like
and a scone as your menu.
Do you guys have omelets? No, they don't have omelets.
That's a good one.
Just make up your mind before you get in, please. You've been to the same coffee shop. You've been to every coffee shop. There's none of them are different. They're all the same.
Starbucks has vilified this. We all know what's on the menu, right?
Yeah,
right.
Just
if you don't know something that's on the menu, you probably don't want it. Just get what you normally get.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, that's the show. We want your emails, especially for our Q&A. Tell us about your socks. We send them to myrockfight@gmail.com. The Rock Fight.
Send us pictures of your socks if you want to.
Especially if there's holes.
Colin's a hole fetishist. Hey, that's gross. On socks.
The Rock Fight's production of Rock Fight LLC. For Justin Hausman, I'm Colin Truth. Thanks for listening. And once again, to take us out, our guy Krista Makes is here to sing the Rock Fight fight song. We'll see you next time, Rock Fighters.
Rock fight.